Well, hello there, it's Andy, the lonely libertarian citizen of California. I had a guy come in today, 60 years old, and he and I had an excellent discussion. But he adamantly believed that the government can do no wrong, that Obama can do no wrong, and that he is going to solve all of our problems. And he told me, he said, listen, all the economists agree. 80% of them agree today. They said that in the news. He told me that we have turned the corner, that the stimulus is working, and that this is the bottom, and we're going to start coming out of it. I said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "No, the employment's still going down." He goes, "Oh, well, that's just symptomatic." He goes, "That doesn't really matter to the real economy, because once you pump all this money in, things will turn around." I said to him, where do you think the money came from? And he goes, "Well, it comes from the government." I said, "But the government has no money." I go, "Where do you think they get the money?" I said, "You must know that it's all bonds." I said, "There's no tax base that's flowing this money in there for the stimulus. It's all bonds." And some of that bonds is printed money. And I had to explain to him how, when they can't sell the bonds overseas, they have to print the money to pay for it, and you're just increasing the money supply. And I told him how their money supply has quadrupled in the last 2 years. And I said, "Do you realize what's going to happen? There's going to be follow-on inflation. At some point, the game is up." I said, our foreign partners will soon decide that they don't want to partner with us. They don't want to part with their money. They don't want to be partners anymore. They're not going to want to part with their money. They want to spend it on their own people. And at some point, they're not going to send their money here anymore. That means they won't be buying our bonds. And we'll have to print more money in order to support this. And I told him the only way we can come out is if we cut spending. And, but he was adamant. He said the government knows what's best. Because the brightest people are working on this, he said. And, I should trust in that. And that he told me that I was too much of a neophyte. That's the word he used, a neophyte, to know what's good for me. And of course, he was a Obama supporter, whatever. But it's hard it's hard for me to understand how these people don't want to look at the facts. They don't want to reason. They don't want to use any kind of deduction. They just want to paper things over and say that this is going to work because our government says it's going to work. And it's amazing to me. Trust in your government, I suppose, but I don't know. It's interesting to see what these people think. So I wasn't going to be able to argue with him and change his mind, but I did find it interesting to hear what people believe. And when you're printing this much money, you're printing $2 trillion. It's amazing to me. There's no money outside this country that equals $2 trillion sitting there that we could be borrowing by giving our bonds. There's just not that much money out there. But they're printing it. They're definitely printing it. And we're going to see the follow-on inflation soon. But anyways, I thought I'd show you a picture of my grandpa. This is my grandpops. Fay Bulles. He was a captain during World War II. He served from 1940 to 1946. And in fact, my dad was born in 1944, and you didn't see him until the end of the war. And he served here for his first 3 years of the war. He was a communications drill instructor, and he taught mathematics at Fort Eustis, Virginia, and he taught his officer candidate school, OCS, and he taught field artillery. He taught how to pack and ship for the Army. He taught all kinds of things. In fact, he actually developed palletizing at the University of Wisconsin. He was one of the team members on palletizing for the Army. And later on in the war, he went to Hawaii, where he spent, I think, 9 months working undercover, trying to figure out, and he was writing a study about why the blacks and the Hawaiians didn't get along, and he came up with the slogan we've all heard, that the Army, there's only one color, green. It was in his report. And the secret report he wrote to his colonel, which was sent to the Pentagon, which he got a secret accommodation for, and now we know where the term came from. In the Army, there's only one color, green. It came from my grandfather. And then he went to Kwajalein, and he went to Truk, the islands out in the South Pacific, in the Marshall Islands. And then he ended up in Okinawa, and also had a little part in the Philippines, in the liberation of the Philippines, which he got a ribbon for. And today I have his hat and his uniform jacket. I keep it with me all the time just to remind me of him. And here's his picture. He would have been 100 years old this year. He was born in 1909. And when he went into the service in 1940, he was 32 years old. He was an educated mathematician. I don't know how many people like him today you might find joining the service, but he thought it was a good battle. It was a battle that should be fought. And when Hitler moved into Czechoslovakia, when the rest of the country was asleep, he and his fellow professors at Clarkson Institute of Technology, 3 of them, all joined on the same day because they knew the war was going to come, and they knew the Army would need smart people like him to rev it up. So I'm dedicating this video to my grandfather, Fay Bulles, and I'll leave it on the screen for a little bit.